Hi, this is Jason. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I hope you can see me. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to talk about 3 books that I'm really excited about today. I have noticed that these days my news feeds and Twitter and Facebook and all of my social media feeds have been filled with stories of or headlines about people behaving badly and not many stories about people doing awesome things. But I've also noticed that in the last couple of years, we've had a plethora of books, in particular graphic novels, nonfiction graphic novels, coming out that are about women and girls doing awesome things. So I'm going to talk about 3 books that kind of fit into that category, stuff that came out in the last 2 years that are stories of women being awesome. The first book I'm going to talk about is Rad Girls Can. It is a 2018 book, pretty new, good book for young teens or even older grade school kids who are interested in real stories of girls just like them who are doing really cool things in the world. It's a collection of short biographies. There are 2 or 3 pages each. It's pretty graphic, heady. I'll try and hold this up to the screen so you can see. Every biography opens with like a little portrait of the person who's going to be profiled. This is Snugs. And then it goes on to have just a couple pages, brief description of what the person has done. There are a lot of people in here from history, but more contemporary, heavy on athletes. We've got Misty Copeland is one that I read and really liked. Very famous story of a ballerina who faced racial adversity and personal adversity to become one of the most accomplished ballerinas of our time. But then also there are stories about girls who that I didn't know, but who are engaged in public discourse right now. The one that I'm thinking of immediately is the story of Madison Kimmery. Maybe you can see this page of her, who is 17 or 18 now, and she lives in North Carolina. She advocates for pre-registration voter rights for teens in the state of North Carolina. And she actually started doing this when I was living in North Carolina like 4 years ago, and has played a huge part in bringing back voter pre-registration in that state, which hugely increases access to voting. And that's amazing. She's not even old enough to vote yet, so she hasn't voted in a presidential election. I was very moved by the story of Madison Kimmery, and this book is filled with stories just like that. Language is pretty accessible. Adults who enjoy reading children's books would love this one. Teens who are also read younger books as well, but also really safe for kids. I like this book a lot. The second book I'm going to share is similar in that it's a collection of biographies. This is Brazen by Penelope Bagot. She is a French comic artist. I want to make sure you see this cover because this is one of my favorite books that I've read in 2019 so far. It came out last year. It's a collection of 29 short biographies that are 4 to 6 pages roughly each. Each one opens with just the name of the person, and then she gives them a title. For example, one that I loved was Georgina Reed, Lighthouse Keeper, and then it moves straight from like a blank page into these full color, kind of traditional comic looking panels. And then they finish with, let me find a particularly striking one. They finish with these 2-page spreads that are just amazing and actually engage in the storytelling of these women's stories. And sometimes the spreads at the end, which kind of look like filler when you're flipping through, are just as moving as the panels and the stories themselves. This book is funny. The writing and the drawings are expressive. It's very moving. A couple of these brought me to tears, even though they're 4 to 6 pages long. This one definitely for older teens. I would say 15 and up, but also young adults, folks in their 20s, and adults who are kind of learning how to read graphic novels like I am. This has really opened me up to the form. And if you can, get a hardback. Get a hardcover because it feels really nice and it opens a little bit wider for those center page spreads. I also want to mention that I'm going to have links below this video to where you can check these books out or put them on hold at your local library here in Portland. So Rad Girls Can, the last book, and Brazen, I'll have links to those in the space below the video here on YouTube. And then the last book is brand new to me. I'm still actually reading it. It's called Part of It. It is a good graphic memoir for older teens. So unlike the other ones that are collections of biographies, this is a comic artist telling her own story and using pretty much a traditional comic form. You can see the black and white panels to tell her story in little episodes. It does start when she's younger and then move to her in more present day, but I wouldn't say it's like a traditional memoir. It's not like using the tools of a novelist to tell a nonfiction story. It is instead like a collection of personal essays in a comic form, but some more adult themes. This is a coming-of-age memoir. She's kind of talking about finding herself in the world. I love memoirs, so I'm pulled in by it. But some of the themes are a little bit heavier, so I would say seniors in high school, people in college, that's kind of the target demographic, I think, for this book. Rad Girls Can by Ariel Schrag, that's my third selection. These are 3 graphic-heavy nonfiction books by and about women that I think are really compelling. I hope you check out the links that I put in here that gives information on how to check them out at your local library. Thanks for tuning in and listening to my book talk. Great.